Welcome to JMR Talks. Today we will discuss what is that needs to be done to become a manager. We all know that many of the youngsters they wish to become what are called managers. Now what is that they need to ensure that they not only become managers but they become some of the best managers. Now what it means to be a manager. A manager is someone who supervises the people, directs the people and gets the things done. Look at the word management. Manage men tactfully. Of course, men, Lord Shiva includes women as well. Also. So, manager is the one person who gets the things done from his people. Now, when we look at the managerial functions, the functions performed by managers across what we call different verticals are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. But when we look at these managerial functions, we find the essential task of manager, that is coordination, is missing. In fact, some might ask also that how come the coordination doesn't figure among the managerial functions. The answer is very simple. Coordination is the DNA of what we call managers. No coordination, no management. While managerial functions are common across the verticals to all types of managers, the operative functions differ depending on the department what they work in. For example, a HR manager will have operative functions like recruitment, selection, performance appraisal, training, etc. etc. Now, what is so special about this manager's role? It was Gallup, based on their what called detailed study, when they were trying to find out what makes a what called great manager, what makes a great place to work. They found out that outstanding performance of an organization depends on outstanding performance of the people, given the fact that all of the resources are accessible, affordable, and what we call available. And outstanding performance of people depends on how strong and vibrant the work environment, in creating which the managers what we call play a crucial role. But was this opinion was universally what we call held? No. For instance, look at Google's Project Oxygen. At the initial stage of the project, they Google felt that managers what we call, they don't matter much. It's an unnecessary evil. It's an extra layer of what we call bureaucracy. So accordingly, what they have done, they have gone for a flat organization as such. But what happened? The employees were found without any direction and without any guidance. So Google was forced to once again, go into the what called detailed study and the deep study, based on which they have come up with what called 10 common behaviors of best managers. In other words, now it is what called universally what called established, proved beyond doubt that managers are required. Okay. Now, for a prospective what called young person wishing to become a manager, the first and foremost thing he need to ask for himself, that is he ready? Some of the youngsters might feel I have done extremely well in my former role, so I might succeed very much in my next role also. Let me share a real story. There was one salesperson at Vijayawada. Every quarter he was crossing the targets and all that, and the management was very happy with him. So ultimately they wanted to recognize his hard work and wanted to what we call reward him. Then they promoted him from sales what we call executive to what we call a sales manager. A sales manager job was to coordinate the work of different sales executives. But this job was what we call meant for only as a sales executive. He was outstanding in his work as a sales executive. But as a sales manager, he failed, and within 6 months, there was no other go for the management to reward him to back to what we call as sales executive as such. But if the management wishes to recognize and reward such hardworking people, employees at the lower level, there are what we call other ways around. For example, this sales executive could be given what we call chauffeur-driven car, or some monthly allowance to entertain his clients, etc. etc. Now, there are a couple of things the prospective people wishes to become the managers need to check for themselves. You can say a reality check. Now, what is your motivation? Why you want to become a manager? Do you want to have power, or you want to give power to what called others? Like there is a saying that till you become a manager, the success is all about what called growing yourself. But once you become a manager, the success is all about growing others. Now, when we see what called across, we find that many of the what called people, they wish to become supervisors or managers because of the salary or corporate advancement. But that alone, will not suffice to make you what I call a successful or a best manager or a great manager. Today, lot of emphasis is being laid on the manager's role as a coach. Your job is not only to find the what I call inadequacies, what I call among your associates and all that, but are you in a position to what I call coach them to improve themselves? Could you what I call energize the team? Energize, encourage, empower, that is what is expected of a manager as such. The secondly, are you there to what I call improve the processes? Because today we are in a VUCA world. Are you excited about initiating new changes, whereby you build trust, you build what I call inspiration, people get what I call motivated. The second one is evaluate your current job success. We know that unless until one is 100% committed to the work he is doing, he won't be able to give your best. That's the reason Indra Nooyi ma'am, during one of her visit to India, while she was talking about what I call some chiseled wisdom, sharing with the youngsters and all that, she mentioned number one, she said is that throw yourself in. That means whatever job what I call you do, you give your best. And the next one is, are you there to what I call help others to what I call rise. So build positive internal relationships. I personally feel that the whole management revolves around relationships. Are you good in what I call building relationships with the people? Because you have to get the things done from the people. Are you observing what's happening around you? As a manager, you must know what's happening around. So that means you must have active listening skills and observation skills. So unless until you are a keen observer, unless until you are in a position to what I call get the key insights into your associates what I call behavior, you won't be able to what I call coordinate them. You won't be able to what I call synchronize their efforts to get the what I call jobs done. The third one, what we are talking about is the relationship builder. Some of you must have heard about the 75-year long Harvard study. They were trying to find out what makes a man happy and what called healthy, and ultimately they found that is the quality relationships. For a manager, relationships are what called very very important. Does your people what called trust you? People will develop trust when you display three kinds of trust. One, communication trust. Second, contractual trust. Third, what I call commitment, competency trust. Communication trust. Do you stand by what you say? Otherwise, people might think that you are just paying to the gallery. Second, contractual trust. Do you fulfill the promises what you make? And the third, the most important was competency trust. Are you in a position to what I call provide solutions or required guidance when people approach you with their problems? If you simply what I call are moving the needle for yourself, that doesn't suffice. You need to move the needle for the company. Are you there to what I call genuinely to help the people, so that people start what I call trusting in you? And once you become what I call a manager, a leader, it is the sincerity and the humility that pays off. Based on my experience during the last 30 to 40 years with students who become what I call managers subsequently, I found that couple of skills the youngsters, the prospective managers need to what I call focus on. Number one, communication skills. Communication is the hallmark of management. No communication, no management. Number two, learning mindset. There are two viruses from which what I call these people need to what I call protect themselves. I know everything. I don't wish to know anything. Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to display your vulnerability? Next, ability to carry the people. Do you build what the relationship with the people? Do they have accessibility to you? And the last but not the least, what we call business acumen. Today's manager not only need to be good in his what we call vertical or in his what we call department, in his what we call discipline, but he need to have an understanding of the overall business as such. So a prospective what we call manager need to be what we call have that kind of motivation, a motivation to do well and what we call to grow others and all that. He must be very good in building what we call relationships. He must be willing to what we call put his what we call best efforts. Then only one can hope to what we call become the great manager as such. Today, in addition to what we call all these things what we discussed, today a lot of emphasis is being laid on what we call manager's role as a coach. A manager who is willing to listen, a manager who is willing to what we call resolve the issues, a manager who is there to what we call encourage, energize, and recognize what was their hard work. Definitely, will succeed in garnering the trust of the people and thereby accomplishing the what we call the given job and contributing to the organization's success. Thank you.